This is not another video you will watch and forget. This is a contract. A 90-day covenant between the man you are today and the man you were born to be. The next 90 days of your life will pass whether you act or not. The only question is, will you arrive at the end of this season the same person, filled with the same quiet regrets and the same dormant potential? Or will you arrive unrecognizable, forged in the fires of a discipline so intense that your own past becomes a foreign country? This is not a theory. This is a protocol, a declaration of war on the average self. It is the blueprint for a season of brutal, beautiful, and total transformation. If you are not serious about paying the price for the next version of you, if you are looking for a comfortable lie or a motivational spark that will fade by morning, then I urge you to turn this off now. This is not for you. But if you are ready to burn the bridges to your past, to silence the voice of hesitation, and to lock in for the most important battle of your life, then your war begins now. What if I told you that in just 90 days, a single season of your life, a mere quarter of a year, you could become unrecognizable to your current self? I do not speak in metaphor. I am not offering you a pleasant platitude to make you feel hopeful for a moment before you drift back into the comfortable sleep of your ordinary life. I am stating a fact of spiritual and psychological science. I am speaking of a transformation so complete, so profound, that it will be reflected in the very substance of your reality. The way you move through a room, the way you speak, and the resonance of your voice, the way you think, not in scattered fragments, but in straight, powerful lines of logic and purpose. The way you handle the inevitable pressures of life, not with anxiety and reaction, but with a calm and unshakable composure. What if, 3 months from this very night, the version of you who hesitates, who scrolls mindlessly through the lives of others, who second-guesses every decision until the window of opportunity has slammed shut, was gone, not improved, not managed, but eradicated, and in his place stood someone sharper, stronger, more focused, a builder, a closer, a force? That is not a fantasy. It is a decision. And if you are truly serious about making the next 90 days the most powerful, most disciplined, and most transformative season of your life, then you will not merely listen to these words. You will absorb them, you will study them, you will treat this discourse not as another piece of content, but as a strategic briefing for the most important battle you will ever fight. But let me be clear from the very beginning, this is not a motivational boost. This is not a feel-good speech designed to give you a temporary, fleeting spark that will be extinguished by the first winds of resistance tomorrow morning. This is a declaration of war. A war against the old you. A war against the comfortable, seductive habits that have kept you stuck in a loop of predictable mediocrity. A war against the insidious and reasonable-sounding excuses you keep recycling like they are facts. And a war against the immense invisible gravitational pull of the average life that seeks to keep you in its low and stagnant orbit. You have 90 days. You have one decision, to be made now, and never revisited. Go all in, or stay average. There is no middle ground in the realm of transformation. Because here's the profound and liberating truth you must grasp. 90 days isn't magic. It is sacred mathematics. It is a specific and sufficient period of time to achieve a profound biological and psychological feat, the complete overwriting of your old identity. 3 months of radical, unwavering, non-negotiable consistency is enough to starve your old neural pathways and build new, powerful highways of thought and action. It is enough to compound small, daily, almost insignificant wins into an unshakable and self-perpetuating momentum. It is enough to rise above 99% of the people who are sleepwalking through their routines, convincing themselves that the fantasy of someday is a real plan. But none of that happens unless you, in this moment, make the decision to lock in, unless you eliminate all distractions with the ruthless precision of a surgeon, unless you remove all escape routes and treat this protocol like it is your last and only chance to finally, once and for all, follow through on the promise you have made to your own soul. You have told yourself you were ready before. This time, you prove it. This is the blueprint you have been waiting for. And it all starts here, tonight. You've got 90 days to flip the switch. This is where you burn the old blueprint. Let us build a new one. Let us begin by first understanding the nature of the enemy. For no war is ever won by a general who does not understand the foe he is facing. The enemy in this war is not the world. It is not your circumstances. It is not other people. The enemy is the ghost of your past potential. It is the comfortable, familiar, and deeply ingrained version of you that has been conditioned for a life of quiet compliance. This old self is a cunning and seductive foe, because its voice sounds exactly like your own. It has an entire arsenal of weapons designed to keep you in your comfortable prison. Its most powerful weapon is comfort. Comfort whispers that good enough is good enough. It tells you that the pain of growth is not worth the reward. It offers you the immediate and fleeting pleasure of distraction, of indulgence, of rest, in exchange for the permanent and profound fulfillment of your purpose. Comfort is a velvet prison, and its walls are built with the bricks of your own small agreements to play it safe. The enemy's second weapon is distraction. In the modern world, this weapon has been perfected. It is the weapon of fragmentation. It shatters your focus into 1,000 tiny pieces with an endless stream of notifications, headlines, and meaningless noise. It ensures that you are always busy but never productive. It keeps your mind so cluttered with the trivial that you never have the mental space to engage with the essential. A man whose focus is fractured cannot build anything of value. The enemy's third weapon is doubt. This is the weapon of internal sabotage. It attacks your belief before you can even take your first step. It is the voice that reminds you of every past failure, that magnifies every potential obstacle, and that questions your worthiness for the very vision you hold in your heart. And the enemy's final, most powerful weapon is the lie of someday. This is the false promise that you can begin your real life later. It is the tranquilizer that allows you to tolerate your present mediocrity with the hollow hope of a future transformation that you never actually take action on. Someday is the graveyard where all great potential is buried. This is the enemy you face. It is not an external force. It is a system of internal habits and beliefs that you have allowed to run your life by default. This 90-day protocol is your declaration that the default setting is no longer acceptable. It is a conscious and deliberate seizure of power. Now, let us speak of the sacred mathematics of our campaign. Why 90 days? Because it is the scientifically and spiritually significant period required for true gestation. It takes approximately 90 days for a new complex habit to move from the realm of conscious, effortful discipline to the realm of unconscious, automatic identity. 30 days is enough to start a habit, but it is not enough to survive the first great test of resistance. 60 days is enough to feel the change, but it is not enough to make it permanent. 90 days. This is the point of no return. This is the time frame in which the new neural pathways in your brain become stronger and more dominant than the old ones. It is the period in which you move beyond merely doing new things, and you begin being a new person. Think of the compounding effect. A single act of discipline is a drop of water, but a drop of water added every single day for 90 days without fail becomes a powerful and flowing river capable of carving canyons through the bedrock of your old limitations. The small daily wins, the workout you completed, the hour you read, the 90 minutes of deep work you executed do not add up. They multiply. They build upon each other, creating a momentum that, by the end of this season, will feel less like you are pushing a boulder uphill and more like you are riding the crest of a mighty wave. This is the promise of the protocol. But it is a promise with a condition that separates the man who will be transformed from the man who will remain the same. And that condition is that you must, from this moment, lock in. Locking in is not just a state of being focused. It is a state of total commitment. It is the creation of a hermetically sealed environment for your own transformation. For these 90 days, your life becomes a sacred laboratory. And you, the master scientist, will control every single variable. Nothing is allowed into this laboratory that does not serve the experiment. Nothing is permitted that contaminates the results. This is the vow of the architect. And it is the vow you must make to yourself now, in the quiet of your own soul. A vow that you will no longer negotiate with your old self. A vow that you will no longer entertain the excuses that have held you in bondage. and a vow that you will see this through to the end, not with hope, but with the cold, hard certainty of a man who has decided. The declaration has been made. The terms of this war are now clear. Let us now discuss the first strategic act of this campaign, the burning of the bridges. You have now made the great declaration. You have answered the call to arms and have enlisted in the most important war you will ever fight, the war against the gravitational pull of your average self. You have been given the terms of this 90-day campaign, a season of transformation that promises to make you unrecognizable. But a declaration, however loud and sincere, is merely sound waves in the air until it is ratified by an act of irreversible commitment. A soldier who enlists but keeps a packed bag by the door, ready to desert at the first sign of hardship, is not a soldier at all. He is a tourist in the uniform of a warrior. We now come to the first and most decisive strategic act of this 90-day campaign. This is the act that separates the committed from the curious. It is the moment that turns a hopeful wish into an unshakable law. We must now speak of the sacred and terrifying necessity of the burning of the bridges, the point of no return. A man who is truly decided, who has made a decision at the level of his soul, burns his bridges, not metaphorically, not half-heartedly, not with a secret backup plan hiding in the quiet corners of his mind. He stands on the shore of his new commitment, turns to face the ships that brought him from the land of his past, and he sets them ablaze. He makes retreat an absolute physical and psychological impossibility. And because of that one final decision, he becomes someone else, not later, now. To understand the profound power of this act, you must first dissect the great illusion that holds the average man in bondage, the illusion of the open door. The modern world has taught you that keeping your options open is a sign of intelligence. It calls it prudence, flexibility, not putting all your eggs in one basket. But I tell you, in the context of profound personal transformation, keeping your options open is the most sophisticated form of self-sabotage ever conceived. A plan B is a subconscious instruction to your mind that you fully expect plan A to fail. It is a quiet but powerful vote of no confidence in your own mission. It divides your energy. It fractures your focus. It dilutes your faith. The man who is straddling two paths will never give his full weight to either. He walks with a hesitant, shallow step, always ready to leap to the other side at the first sign of difficulty. His life becomes a series of tentative experiments, but never a single magnificent all-in campaign. The drifter keeps his options open. The decided man closes all doors but one, the door that leads to the fulfillment of his definite purpose. The drifter's life is a maze of hallways with 1,000 exits, and he spends his years wandering, looking for the easiest way out. The decided man's life is a single, narrow, and disciplined path forward. He has made his choice, and in doing so, he has liberated himself from the tyranny of choice. Now, let us turn to the annals of history, for this is not a new philosophy. It is the ancient and brutal strategy of conquerors. Picture this scene. In the year 1519, a Spanish conquistador named Hernán Cortés landed on the shores of Mexico with a small army of roughly 600 men. Before him lay the vast and powerful Aztec Empire, a civilization of millions with a formidable and battle-hardened army. His men were outnumbered, they were exhausted from their journey, and they were terrified. In their hearts, the thought of retreat, the idea of returning to the safety of their ships and sailing for home, was a seductive and ever-present possibility. Cortés, in an act of what some would call madness and what I call profound psychological genius, gave a single shocking command: scuttle the ships. Imagine the horror and then the dawning realization in his men's eyes as they watched their only means of escape sink beneath the waves or burn to ash on the shoreline. In that moment, Cortés had not just destroyed their vessels, he had destroyed the very idea of retreat. He had surgically removed the option of failure from their minds. He then gathered his men and said, "Gentlemen, we now have a choice. We can die here as failures, or we can conquer this new land and make it our own. There is no other option." With no way back, there was only one way forward. That small, terrified band of men was transformed. They were no longer explorers who might fail. They were conquerors who must succeed. The act of burning the bridges forced them to become the men their mission required them to be. This is the principle you must now apply to your inner world. For these 90 days, you are landing on the shores of your future self, and you must burn the ships that can carry you back to the comfortable, mediocre, and predictable country of your past. So, what are these bridges that you must burn? They are not made of wood and sail. They are made of excuses, of comforts, of relationships, and of old identities. First, you must burn the bridge to your old excuses. These are your most trusted vessels of retreat. Take out a piece of paper and write down every single one of them. I don't have enough time. I'm not ready yet. I'm too tired. The conditions aren't right. I don't know how. Write them all down. Look at them. Recognize them for what they are, not facts, but well-rehearsed justifications for inaction. And then, in a quiet and solemn ceremony in the chambers of your own soul, you will set this list on fire. You will watch it turn to ash. From this night forward, these excuses are no longer valid currency in the economy of your mind. They are gone. Second, you must burn the bridge to your old social circle. I speak now of the friends and associates who anchor you to the man you are leaving behind. These are the carriers of the refrigerator of mediocrity we have spoken of. They are the ones who greet your ambition with a sigh, who encourage your comfort, who remind you of your past failures. They are a bridge back to a small and easy life. To burn this bridge does not mean you must treat them with cruelty. It means you must make a firm, internal, and non-negotiable decision that for these 90 days, your loyalty is to your future self, not to your past friendships. You will no longer seek their validation. You will no longer allow their low energy, low standard mindset to influence your own. You will lovingly, but firmly, create distance. Your war council cannot have traitors who are secretly loyal to the enemy of comfort. Third, you must burn the bridge to your old comforts. Identify the specific coping mechanisms you use to escape the productive pain of growth. What is your go-to vessel for retreat when the work gets hard? Is it mindless scrolling through social media? Is it binge-watching meaningless entertainment? Is it the dulling comfort of alcohol or junk food? These are your escape hatches. And for these 90 days, you must seal them off. You must make them unavailable. The discomfort of growth is a sacred fire. These comforts are the water you use to douse it. You must remove the water. You must choose to sit in the fire. And fourth, and most profoundly, you must burn the bridge to your old identity. You must make a final and absolute decision to stop identifying with the man who quits, the man who hesitates, the man who is unlucky, the man who isn't disciplined. You must refuse to speak his language, to think his thoughts, or to tell his sad stories. Every time his voice whispers in your mind, you will recognize it as the ghost of a dead man, and you will give it no authority. This single act of burning the bridge to your past self makes the forging of the new identity non-negotiable. When you do this, when you commit this act of internal conflagration, something profound happens to your psyche. A powerful, focused siege mentality takes over. All of your resources, your mental, emotional, and spiritual energy are now directed at a single point: survival through victory. Your mind, knowing it has no other choice, becomes brilliantly creative. Your will, knowing it cannot retreat, becomes unbreakable. You stop asking, "Can I?" and your entire being begins to scream, "How can I?" The man who walks away from the burning ships is a fundamentally different creature from the one who arrived on them. The act of total commitment changes you instantly. You are no longer a dabbler hoping things will work out. You are a commander who will make them work out. You are no longer a tourist in the land of success. You are a conqueror. The decision precedes the feeling. The act precedes the identity. So tonight, you will conduct a quiet ceremony in the chambers of your own soul. You will identify your ships, the excuses, the relationships, the comforts that offer you a path back to the man you are at war with. And you will, with the cold and final resolve of a conqueror, set them ablaze. From this night forward, there is no going back. There is only the path forward. There is only the mission. There is only the relentless daily execution of the 4 pillars of construction. There is only victory, or the glorious death of the old self in the pursuit of it. This is your point of no return, and it is in this sacred place, with the smoke of your past rising behind you, that your new life truly begins. You now stand at the point of no return. The ships that could carry you back to the comfortable land of your past are now nothing but smoke and ash. This is the first and most critical act of a man who is truly decided. If you are serious about this path, if you have made this silent vow to see this war through to the end, then I invite you now to make a formal commitment. Subscribe to this channel. Let it not be a mere click, but an act of alignment. A signal that you are joining a fellowship of architects and builders who refuse to settle for an average life. We have now cleared the path of retreat. We now move from the act of destruction to the sacred act of construction. The real work is about to begin. You have made the great and terrible decision. You have stood on the shores of your new life and set fire to the ships of your past. The smoke has cleared. The path of retreat is gone. Before you lies the vast, untamed continent of your own potential. There is no turning back. There is only the campaign ahead. And so, we begin the work of construction. For the next 90 days, you are not merely living. You are building. You are the architect and the laborer of a new self. And the first territory you must conquer, the first structure you must build, is the command and control center of your entire existence. We now lay the foundation stone of this entire protocol. We now begin the work of Pillar 1, the forging of the mind. You cannot, and you will not, outperform your own thoughts. Let that law sink into the bedrock of your understanding. Your life, your results, your income, your impact, they are all a direct and unerring reflection of the quality and the character of your dominant thoughts. Your mind is the general's tent in this 90-day war. All strategies are born here. All orders are issued from here. All resilience is forged here. All victories are first conceived here, in the silent chambers of your own consciousness. If the general's tent is in chaos, if it is filled with distraction, with conflicting reports, and with the low murmur of doubt, the army will be defeated before the first battle is ever fought. You must understand the state of the average man. His mind is not a weapon, it is a liability. He operates on mental autopilot. His thoughts are not his own. They are the second-hand echoes of his social media feed, of the morning news headlines, and of the last casual conversation he had. He is in a state of mental slavery, and he does not even know that he is in chains. He has given the keys to his most valuable and sovereign territory to the lowest bidder, to any passing distraction that promises a momentary hit of dopamine. His mind is not a forged weapon, it is a cluttered attic, filled with the junk of other people's opinions and the dust of his own unexamined beliefs. For these 90 days, this ends. You are not a consumer. You are a creator. You are not a reactor. You are an architect. And an architect is, above all else, a master of his own mind. To achieve this, you will institute a new, sacred, and non-negotiable ritual into your life. We will call it the Architect's Hour. Every single day for the next 90 days, you will spend one full, uninterrupted hour feeding, sharpening, and disciplining your mind. This is not a task on your to-do list to be checked off. This is a sacred appointment. It is a strategic meeting with your future self. It is the most important and most profitable hour of your entire day. You will guard it like a vault of gold, for it is infinitely more valuable. You will rise earlier if you must. You will stay up later if you must. But you will not miss this appointment. This hour is not for passive consumption. It is for active forging. It is structured around 3 core disciplines. The first is the discipline of strategic input. For 30 minutes of this hour you will read, but you will not read for entertainment. You will read for armament. You will not consume the literary junk food of the masses. You will feast at the table of the masters. You will read books that challenge your assumptions. You will read the biographies of the great men and women of history, the titans of industry, the conquerors, the builders of empires, not to admire their success, but to dissect their thinking. You will read the great works of philosophy, of strategy, of spiritual law. You will read with a pen in your hand. You are not a passive spectator in the author's world. You are an active interrogator of the text. You are hunting. You are hunting for ideas, for principles, for mental models, for weapons that you can take from the page and wield in the battlefield of your own life. You will underline. You will make notes in the margins. You will ask questions of the text. This is not casual reading. This is a strategic extraction of wisdom. You are downloading the software of genius directly into your own mind. The second discipline is the discipline of deep reflection. For 20 minutes of this hour, you will put the book down, and you will engage in the lost art of thinking. Information without reflection is just unorganized data. It is useless. It is the equivalent of piling bricks on a construction site with no blueprint. Reflection is the process of turning information into understanding. It is the act of digestion. You will do this through the sacred practice of journaling. You will have a dedicated notebook for this 90-day war. And in it, you will ask yourself the hard and honest questions. What was the single most valuable idea I just encountered? How does it apply directly to my definite purpose? What did I do yesterday that moved my mission forward? Where did I fail? Not who is to blame, but what is the lesson? What is the subtle, seductive excuse that my old self tried to use today? Who am I becoming? This is not a diary of your feelings. This is a commander's logbook. It is a record of your strategy, your tactics, your victories, and your lessons learned. This daily act of self-interrogation is what builds self-awareness. And self-awareness is the foundation of self-mastery. You will begin to see your own patterns, your own weaknesses, your own strengths with a clarity that is impossible for the man who never stops to think. The third discipline is the discipline of focused output. For the final 10 minutes of this hour, your reflection will turn into strategy. You will take the insights you have gained, and you will translate them into clear, definite, and actionable commands. This is where you will plan your day with the precision of a military operation. You will identify your single most important target for the day, the one brick that must be laid on the cathedral of your mission. You will write it down. This is where you will write your affirmations. You will take the identity of the man you are becoming, and you will script it into existence, writing it in the present tense. I am the man who acts with unwavering discipline. I am the man who is a master of his focus. This is the act of creation. When you write down a goal, an affirmation, a plan, you are giving a fuzzy, formless thought a physical body. You are turning a ghost into a soldier. You are issuing a formal, written command to your subconscious mind. Now, let us speak of the consequences of this daily ritual. When you practice the Architect's Hour every day for 90 days, you are initiating a profound and irreversible transformation. First, you are rewiring your brain. Literally. The daily practice of deep reading, reflection, and strategic planning forges new neural pathways. The old, worn-out grooves of reactive, distracted, and fearful thinking begin to atrophy from disuse, and new, powerful highways of thought for strategic, proactive, and purposeful thinking become your new default. You are not just learning new things. You are physically building the brain of the person you intend to become. Second, you are developing what we shall call mental sovereignty. The result of this consistent daily practice is that you are no longer a slave to external opinions or your own fleeting emotions. Why? Because you are building your own inner counsel. You are developing your own framework for viewing the world. Your decisions become faster, clearer, and infinitely more powerful because they are born from your own cultivated principles, not from a reaction to the noise of the crowd. You stop asking, "What do they think?" and you start knowing, "This is what must be done." Finally, this profound inner change will begin to manifest externally. A man who spends an hour every single morning in the company of the greatest minds in history will not speak like a man who spends an hour scrolling through the gossip and grievances of social media. His language will change. The quality of his questions will change. His presence will change. He will begin to carry a quiet aura of depth and purpose that other people can feel. They may not know why he is different, but they will know that he is. This is the work. This is the forge. This is the first and most fundamental pillar of your 90-day transformation. You can choose to continue feeding your mind the junk food of the masses and expect a life of mental mediocrity. Or you can begin tonight to feed it the diet of kings, of philosophers, and of architects. Make a vow to yourself now. This architect's hour is non-negotiable. It is more important than any meeting. It is more important than any email. It is more important than any fleeting distraction. It is the sacred time in which you build the cause, so that the world of effects must obey. My mind is my greatest weapon, and I will sharpen it daily. I feed my mind with purpose, not with poison. Every day, through this sacred hour, my thoughts become sharper, my vision becomes clearer, and my will becomes stronger. You have now been given the protocol to forge a mind of steel. But a brilliant general in a weak and fragile body is a commander who will collapse before the war is won. We must now turn our attention to the vessel that carries this magnificent mind. We must now discuss the tempering of the body. You have now been given the sacred protocol to forge a mind of steel. You have committed to the architect's hour the daily, non-negotiable ritual of sharpening your greatest weapon. You have declared that your inner world, the command and control center of your entire existence, will no longer be a chaotic landscape of reaction, but a sovereign kingdom of deliberate, directed thought. The general is now in his tent, studying the maps, honing his strategy, and preparing for the campaign ahead. But a brilliant general in a weak and fragile body is a commander who will collapse before the war is won. A magnificent mind housed in a vessel that is neglected, that is soft, that is starved of its vital force, is a king trapped in a crumbling castle. We must now turn our attention to the vessel that carries this magnificent mind. We must address the physical foundation upon which all mental and spiritual power is ultimately built. This brings us to the second great pillar of your 90-day construction. We must now speak of the sacred and strategic necessity of Pillar 2, the tempering of the body. Let us begin by demolishing the great and dangerous fallacy of the modern age, the fallacy of separation. You have been taught by a world that specializes in fragmentation to see your mind and your body as two separate and distinct entities. You have been led to believe that the work of the intellectual is a noble pursuit, and the work of the physical is a lesser one, or vice versa. This is a profound and debilitating delusion. Your mind and your body are not two separate things. They are one unified system. They are the software and the hardware of your human experience, and they are inextricably linked in a constant and dynamic feedback loop. Your body is not a mere vehicle that you drive. It is the physical manifestation of your will. Your posture is a direct reflection of your self-concept. Your energy level dictates the stamina of your focus. Your physical health determines the clarity of your thoughts. A weak, undisciplined body sends constant, subtle signals of fatigue, of limitation, and of fragility to the brain. It whispers, "Be careful. Don't push too hard. We are not capable." A strong, disciplined, and tempered body sends the opposite signal. It broadcasts a message of power, of resilience, of capability. It says, "We can endure, we can handle the pressure, we are ready for the fight." You cannot forge a mind of steel within a body of soft clay. Therefore, for these 90 days, your daily physical training is not a secondary objective. It is not a matter of vanity or aesthetics. It is a central and non-negotiable part of your spiritual and psychological transformation. Your body will become the anvil upon which your new character is forged. Let us now dissect the deeper purpose of this daily tempering. This is not about building bigger muscles. It is about building a bigger will. The gym, the track, the open road, the floor of your own room, this is your new laboratory. It is a controlled environment for practicing the very principles of this entire protocol in the most tangible and visceral way possible. First, your daily training is a laboratory for your will. It is where you come face to face with resistance in its most honest form. That physical weight, that final burning repetition, that steep incline on the road, that is a tangible metaphor for all of life's resistance. And how you respond to it in the controlled environment of your workout is a direct predictor of how you will respond when a business deal gets hard, when a relationship is tested, or when your great mission meets an obstacle. Do you quit when it burns? Or do you breathe, reset, and push through? In this laboratory, you are not just training your muscles, you are training your response to adversity. Second, you are deliberately building your pain tolerance. This is a critical concept. Our soft, modern world has conditioned us to believe that discomfort is an enemy to be avoided at all costs. But the architect of destiny understands that a life devoid of discomfort is a life devoid of growth. By voluntarily, deliberately, and consistently exposing yourself to physical discomfort, you are inoculating your will. You are vaccinating your spirit against the inevitable, involuntary discomforts that life will throw your way. You are systematically raising your threshold for what you can endure. The man who willingly embraces the productive pain of physical exertion every morning will not flinch in the face of the emotional and psychological pressures of his day. He has already proven to himself in the fire of his own effort that he is harder than his challenges. Third, every workout is a sacred opportunity to practice the power of a kept promise. The promise you make to yourself to train today is a micro-commitment. It may seem small, it may seem insignificant, but when you keep that promise, especially on the days you do not feel like it, you are making a massive deposit into your character account. You are building the most valuable asset a man can possess, self-respect. And from self-respect, all genuine, unshakable confidence is born. You cannot lie to the man in the mirror. He knows when you negotiate, when you make excuses, when you quit, and every time you follow through, every time you choose the discomfort of discipline over the ease of quitting, his respect for you grows. And finally, let us speak of the science. This is not just philosophy, it is neurochemistry. When you engage in intense physical effort, your brain is flooded with a powerful cocktail of victorious chemicals. Endorphins, which create a state of well-being. Dopamine, which is the molecule of motivation and drive. Norepinephrine, which sharpens your focus and your attention. This is not a runner's high. This is the victor's chemistry. You are literally, on a chemical level, training your brain to associate effort with reward and stress with a positive, empowering response. You are rewiring your nervous system to become anti-fragile. The man who starts his day by conquering himself physically walks into the rest of his day with a mind that is primed for victory. Now, let us speak of the protocol itself, the protocol of tempering. The mandate is simple and non-negotiable. Every single day for these 90 days, you will train your physical vessel for a minimum of 30 minutes and ideally up to 60. The specific activity is secondary to the consistency of the act. You can run, you can lift weights, you can engage in boxing or martial arts or calisthenics, but you must move, period. The first principle of this protocol is consistency over duration. 30 minutes of intense effort every single day without fail is infinitely more powerful than 3 hours once a week. We are not just exercising the body, we are building the habit of discipline. The daily repetition is what carves the new groove into your identity. The second principle is intensity. You are not here to go through the motions. You are not here to be comfortable. The goal of each session is to reach a point of meaningful resistance. Transformation does not live in the zone of comfort. It lives at the edge of your perceived limits. It is in the final, difficult repetition where the muscle is torn and character is built. It is in the final sprint when your lungs are burning that your will is forged. You must seek out that point of honorable struggle in every session. Now, let us address the great enemies of this pillar. Let us name them, and let us dismantle them. These are the excuses of the old self, and they will no longer have any power over you. The first excuse, I don't have time. Let me be clear. You have the same 24 hours in a day as the titans of history who built empires. This is not a time problem. It is a priority problem. You are declaring that 30 minutes for the forging of your own physical and mental fortitude is less important than 30 minutes of scrolling, of passive entertainment, or of extra sleep. By adhering to this protocol, you are making a new declaration. You are stating that your own strength, your own energy, and your own discipline are your highest priority. The second excuse, I don't have a gym or I don't have the equipment. Another lie. The world is your gym. The ground is your gym. Your own body is the greatest piece of equipment ever created. You do not need chrome machines to build a will of iron. You need commitment. You need gravity. You need the floor. Push-ups, squats, lunges, sprints, these primal movements have forged warriors for thousands of years. They will be more than sufficient to forge you. The third excuse: I don't feel motivated. To this, you will now have only one answer: good. This protocol is not powered by the fickle and unreliable emotion of motivation. It is powered by the unbreakable code of no negotiation. You do not consult your feelings. You consult your schedule. The decision has already been made. Your feelings are irrelevant. You must learn to reframe the very act of sweating. Sweat is no longer just a biological function. From this day forward, it is a spiritual act. Every drop of sweat is a decision made manifest. It is a physical symbol of your vow. It is weakness leaving the body. It is doubt being dissolved in salt and water. It is the old, soft self being purified by the fire of your effort. When you train, you are not just exercising. You are performing a daily ritual of self-overcoming. After 90 days of this consistent tempering, you will not just be fitter. You will be harder. You will be harder to distract. You will be harder to discourage. You will be harder to break. Your disciplined body will become an anchor of stability in the chaotic storms of life. When your emotions are in turmoil, when your mind is racing, the quiet, solid strength of your physical being will provide a foundation of calm. Your physical strength will become the bedrock for your mental and your emotional strength. And finally, you will radiate a new energy. A man who possesses a high level of physical vitality carries a different presence. He walks into a room, and people can feel his power. It is not an aggressive power, but the quiet, confident power of a man who is in command of himself. This is the radiance of vitality, and it is a tangible result that will begin to attract new opportunities and new levels of respect into your life. So, I charge you now. View your daily training not as a chore to be completed, but as the sacred and strategic act of forging the very vessel that will carry your great mission into the world. You have now been given the protocol to forge a mind of steel and to temper a body of iron. You have the command center and you have the vessel. But a warrior, however strong, without a mission, is just a man looking for a fight. We must now turn this magnificent new energy and this sharpened focus toward a definite purpose. We must now discuss the building of your mission. You have now been given the sacred protocol to forge a mind of steel and to temper a body of iron. You have committed to the architect's hour, the daily ritual that sharpens your greatest weapon. You have embraced the fire of physical discipline, building a vessel of power and resilience. You have, in essence, created a magnificent and powerful weapon. The general is in command of his thoughts. The warrior is in command of his body. But a warrior without a mission is just a man looking for a fight. A weapon without a target is a useless and dangerous thing. A magnificent ship with a powerful engine, a strong hull, and a brilliant captain is still just a monument to potential if it has no destination, if it remains anchored in the harbor. We must now turn this magnificent new energy, this sharpened focus, and this unbreakable will toward a definite and worthy purpose. We now arrive at the third great pillar of your 90-day construction. This is where the internal forge meets the external world. This is where potential becomes performance. Welcome to the great discourse on Pillar 3, the building of the mission. Let us begin by diagnosing the great human tragedy of the modern age, the tragedy of the man without a mission. Look around you. You will see him everywhere. He is the man who is perpetually busy but never productive. His days are a flurry of motion, but there is no forward momentum. He is a ghost in his own life, a slave to the agendas of others, his boss, his clients, the endless scroll of his social media feed. He wakes up without a clear target for the day, and so he becomes the target for everyone else. He is a ship without a rudder, caught in the chaotic currents of the world, drifting aimlessly and mistaking the rocking of the waves for progress. His life is not a campaign. It is a collection of random and disconnected skirmishes. A mission, a definite chief aim, is the spiritual and psychological spinal column of a man's life. Without it, he is an invertebrate. He cannot stand tall against the pressures of the world. He bends to every opinion, yields to every obstacle, and collapses under the weight of his own unfulfilled potential. But with a mission, he has structure, he has direction, he has an unbreakable internal framework. His life is no longer a question mark, it is an exclamation point. Now, we must define what a mission is and what it is not. A mission is not a job. A job is what you are paid for. A mission is what you were made for. A job is a transaction of your time for money. A mission is a translation of your soul into service. A job can be taken from you. A mission can only be abandoned. A mission is not a hobby. A hobby is what you do for pleasure or for relaxation in your spare time. A mission is what you do because you must. It is a sacred obsession. It is a divine dissatisfaction with the world as it is, coupled with an unshakable conviction that you have a role to play in making it what it ought to be. It is the problem you feel uniquely called to solve, the value you feel compelled to create, the truth you feel you must express. A great mission has two essential components. First, it must be a grand obsession. It must be a goal so large, so compelling, so magnificent that it captures your entire imagination. It must be a vision that, as we have discussed, both excites your spirit and terrifies your ego. It must pull you out of bed in the morning, not because of an alarm clock, but because of its sheer gravitational force. Second, it must be rooted in a spirit of service. A mission that is centered purely on your own accumulation, on your own fame, on your own comfort, is a weak mission with shallow roots. It will not sustain you through the dark nights of the soul that every great journey requires. A true, powerful, and lasting mission is always about providing value, about solving a problem, about serving others. The universe is a perfect system of exchange. The rewards you receive will always be in direct proportion to the service you render. But what of the man who says, "I do not know my mission"? This is the great cry of the modern soul. And to him I say this: you have been lied to. You have been taught that clarity is something you must find before you can begin. The truth is the opposite. Clarity is not found in passive contemplation. It is forged in the fires of action. Therefore, if you do not know your definite purpose, your mission for these 90 days is the aggressive, the relentless, and the unapologetic pursuit of clarity. And you will pursue it not by thinking, but by doing. You will experiment. You will learn new skills. You will start the small project. You will talk to people who are doing things that inspire you. You will act your way into your purpose. For these 90 days, the search for your mission is your mission. Now, for the man who has his mission, we come to the daily work. The protocol is simple in its instruction, but it is brutal in its demand for consistency. We call this daily practice the cathedral brick. Your great mission, your life's work, is a magnificent cathedral. If you were to stand at the construction site and look up at the towering spires you intend to build, you would be paralyzed by the sheer scale of the task. And this is why most men fail. They are overwhelmed by the size of their vision. But the master builder does not focus on the finished cathedral. He focuses, with a monastic and obsessive intensity, on the single brick that is in his hands right now. His entire world for that moment shrinks down to one single sacred objective: to lay that one brick perfectly. Your 90 minutes of deep work each day is the act of laying one single perfect brick on the great cathedral of your life's work. You do not worry about the spires. You do not worry about the stained glass windows. You focus, with all of your forged mental and physical power, on laying today's brick. This brings us to the sacred science of deep work. For these 90 minutes, you will enter the forge of creation. And this forge has inviolable rules. The first is the rule of absolute zero distraction. You must create a fortress of solitude. Your phone is not just turned over, it is in another room. All notifications on your computer are turned off. All unnecessary tabs are closed. You have informed those around you that you are not to be disturbed. This is not a preference. It is a necessity. Modern science has shown us a concept called attention residue. Every time you glance at an email or a text message, even for a second, a part of your cognitive bandwidth is left behind on that task. Your focus becomes fractured. Deep work, the kind that produces genius and moves mountains, is impossible in a state of fractured attention. For these 90 minutes, you must cultivate a single-minded monastic focus. The second is the rule of a clear objective. Before the 90-minute block begins, you must know with absolute clarity what the one brick for that session is. You do not sit down and ask, "What should I work on?" The decision has already been made. The objective is written down. It is specific, and it is measurable. I will write 500 words of my manuscript. I will code this specific feature. I will make these 10 strategic outreach calls. A vague objective leads to a wasted session. A clear objective is a direct command to your mind. The third is the rule of uninterrupted flow. Once the timer starts, you do not stop. You do not get up for a coffee. You do not check the time. You do not question the process. You immerse yourself completely in the task at hand. You push through the initial friction, the initial discomfort. And if you persist, you will enter the sacred state known as flow, where time seems to disappear, where your ego fades away, and where your best work, your most creative and powerful insights will emerge. This is the state where your subconscious mind comes online to assist your conscious efforts. This is where the magic happens. Now, let us again consider the sacred mathematics of this practice. 90 minutes a day is not a small commitment. It is 10.5 hours a week. It is over 80 hours in this 90-day season. That is the equivalent of 2 full 40-hour work weeks of pure, uninterrupted, high-leverage creation. While the rest of the world is drowning in meetings, in emails, and in distractions, you are building an empire in the silence. While they are busy, you are becoming a master. This daily practice will do more than just build your project. It will transform your identity. Through the daily ritual of deep work, you stop seeing yourself as a man who hopes to achieve something. You begin to see yourself, at a fundamental level, as a builder, as a creator, as a finisher. Your confidence will no longer be based on external validation, but on the quiet, internal knowledge of your own daily discipline. You know you are moving forward, not because anyone is clapping, but because you can feel the weight of the brick you laid yesterday and the one from the day before that. The results of this practice will be inevitable. When you lay a perfect brick on the foundation of a sound blueprint every single day, the construction of the cathedral is not a possibility. It becomes a mathematical certainty. Your success becomes a natural consequence of the process, not something you have to anxiously chase or force into existence. This creates a state of calm, powerful, and profound confidence. So I charge you now, identify your mission. If you do not have one, your mission is to find it through action. And then you will dedicate yourself to the daily ritual of the cathedral brick. You will see your 90 minutes of deep work not as a chore, but as the most sacred act of your day. It is the physical manifestation of your spiritual commitment. It is your daily vote for the man you are becoming. It is your declaration to the universe that you are not here to drift. You are here to build. You have now been given the protocol to forge the mind of a general, to temper the body of a warrior, and to build the mission of an architect. You are in motion. You are a force. The engine is running, the will is strong, and the bricks of your new life are being laid, day by relentless day. But a force that is always in motion, with no moment of calibration, will eventually run off its course. An engine that is always running at maximum capacity, with no period of cooling and maintenance, will inevitably burn out. A builder who is so obsessed with laying the next brick that he never steps back to check his blueprint will construct a flawed and crooked tower. We must now speak of the one faculty that turns frantic motion into calm, centered power. It is the principle that sharpens the sword after the battle. It is the practice that provides the clarity for the next strategic move. We have come to the fourth great pillar of your 90-day construction. We must now explore the profound and paradoxical power of Pillar 4, the cultivation of stillness. Let us begin by diagnosing the great sickness of the modern age, the addiction to noise. You live in a world that is a constant screaming carnival of endless distraction. Your mind is the primary battlefield in a war for your attention, and you are being assaulted from all sides every waking moment. The tyranny of the notification on your phone, the endless scrolling feed of other people's lives, the 24-hour cycle of fear and outrage from the news, this is the water you swim in. This has created a new kind of human being, a being with a fractured consciousness. A mind that is always consuming is never creating. A mind that is always reacting is never originating. A mind that is constantly bombarded with external input can no longer hear the quiet internal voice of its own soul. This state of constant stimulation is a form of self-imposed slavery. Your attention, your most precious and non-renewable asset, is being sold for the cheap and fleeting validation of a digital world. This is not just a distraction, it is a form of spiritual poverty. In the deafening cacophony of meaningless information, you lose the ability to hear your own intuition, to feel your own purpose, to connect with the still, small voice of your definite chief aim. The protocol of stillness is your declaration of independence from this noisy tyranny. It is the radical and revolutionary act of unplugging from the world's chaotic energy in order to plug into the infinite power of your own inner universe. We must now reframe your entire understanding of what stillness is. The average man sees stillness as a waste of time. He sees it as inactivity, as boredom, as the absence of progress. But the architect of destiny understands the truth. Stillness is not the absence of work. It is the foundation of all effective work. Stillness is not inactivity. It is the highest form of alignment. Stillness is not emptiness. It is the state in which you become full. Let us explore the strategic value of this daily practice. First, stillness is a clarity filter. Your mind throughout the day is like a glass of water into which dirt and sediment are constantly being poured. By the end of the day, the water is murky, cloudy, and opaque. You cannot see through it. You cannot make clear decisions from this state. The practice of stillness is the act of setting that glass of water down and allowing the sediment to naturally, effortlessly settle to the bottom. In the silence, the trivial thoughts, the second-hand worries, the emotional clutter, it all begins to settle. And what remains at the top is the crystal clear water of your own true thoughts, your own intuitive knowing. Your best ideas, your most brilliant strategies, and the solutions to your most complex problems will not come to you in the midst of chaos. They will arise as if from nowhere in the quiet, receptive space you have deliberately created. Second, stillness is a power source. It is the act of recharging your will. Think of a master archer. A bow that is always kept taut, always under tension, will eventually lose its power. It will become weak, brittle, and ineffective. To retain its potent elasticity, it must be unstrung. It must be allowed to rest. Your will, your focus, and your discipline are like that bowstring. The constant pressure of your mission, the daily effort of your pillars, keeps it taut. The daily practice of stillness is the sacred and necessary act of unstringing the bow. It allows your mental and spiritual faculties to recover, to recalibrate, and to return the next day even stronger, more resilient, and more powerful than before. A man who never practices stillness is a man who is slowly but surely breaking his own will. Third, and most profoundly, stillness is the gateway to infinite intelligence. This is a truth that the great masters and mystics of all ages have understood. Your greatest ideas, your most profound flashes of genius, do not come from your logical, reasoning, conscious mind alone. They are downloads. They are flashes of insight that come from the vast reservoir of your subconscious mind and from its connection to the universal mind, the great storehouse of all wisdom. But this connection can only be made in a state of quiet receptivity. You cannot hear the whisper of genius in a hurricane of noise. The practice of stillness is the act of turning down the volume of your own egoic, chattering mind, so that you can hear the far more intelligent and powerful broadcast of a higher wisdom. The greatest leaders and thinkers in history were masters of this practice. The prophets went into the desert. The mystics went into the mountains. The great Stoic emperor, Marcus Aurelius, wrote his timeless meditations not in the chaos of the Roman court, but in the profound and lonely stillness of his tent on the battlefield at night. The titans of industry whom we have studied, men like Carnegie and Rockefeller, were not known for frantic, scattered energy. They were known for their periods of deep, quiet, and decisive contemplation from which their grandest and most world-changing strategies were born. Now, let us speak of the practical protocol of stillness. The mandate is simple. Every single day for these 90 days, you will spend a minimum of 10 to 20 minutes in absolute stillness. This is a non-negotiable appointment. You must treat it with the same reverence and commitment as the other pillars. First, you must create the environment. This must be a sacred space. You will find a place where you will not be disturbed, and you will remove all possible distractions. The phone is in another room. The computer is off. The door is closed. The physical environment must be a reflection of the internal environment you wish to create. One of order, of peace, and of silence. Next, you must understand the process of sitting. You will sit, either in a chair with your spine straight or on the floor. You will close your eyes, and you will do nothing. At first, this will feel like a form of torture. Your mind, addicted to the constant drip of stimulation, will rebel. It will scream for a distraction. It will flood you with a torrent of random thoughts, worries, plans, and memories. This is the detox. You must understand that this initial resistance is not a sign that you are failing at the practice. It is the proof that the practice is desperately needed. Your goal is not to stop your thoughts. That is impossible. A man who tries to fight his own mind will lose every time. Your goal is to become the observer of your thoughts. You will sit on the riverbank of your own consciousness and simply watch the river of your thoughts flow by. You will see a thought of worry arise, and you will simply notice it. Ah, there is worry, and you will let it float away. You will see a thought of a task you forgot, and you will notice it and let it float away. You will not judge the thoughts. You will not cling to them. You will not fight them. You will simply watch with a calm and detached awareness. The anchor for this practice is your breath. The breath is always in the present moment. When you notice that your mind has been carried away by a thought, you will gently, and without any self-criticism, return your attention to the simple, physical sensation of your breath entering and leaving your body. Each time you do this, each time you catch your mind wandering and gently guide it back, you are performing one single, powerful repetition for the muscle of your attention. While formal meditation is the highest form of this practice, you can also cultivate stillness through a silent walk in nature, or by simply sitting and watching the sunrise without any other input. The key is the deliberate and conscious absence of external stimulation. And what are the fruits of this silence? What is the outcome of this daily discipline? You will emerge from your daily stillness with a profound sense of clarity and power. Your decisions will no longer be hasty reactions born of anxiety. They will be calm responses born from a place of deep inner knowing. You will move through your day with a centered and unshakable power that other people will find both calming and magnetic. You will also begin to hear a new voice, the voice of your intuition. This is your own personal, invisible counsel. As you quiet the noise, this deeper, wiser intelligence will begin to speak to you, offering insights, solutions, and guidance that your logical mind, on its own, could never have produced. So I charge you now. Do not see stillness as a luxury. Do not see it as a waste of your precious time. See it for what it truly is, your most potent strategic weapon in this 90-day war. It is the sharpening of the sword. It is the calibration of your inner compass. It is the sacred meeting place between your finite will and infinite intelligence. You have now been given the protocols to forge the mind, temper the body, build the mission, and cultivate the stillness from which all true power arises. You have the complete structure of a transformed man. All that remains is the mortar that holds every single brick of this new cathedral together, the unbreakable vow that ensures this is not a temporary experiment, but a permanent and irreversible transformation. We must now discuss the final pillar, the great and binding law, the code of no negotiation. You have now been given the complete architecture for a new life. You have the protocol to forge a mind of steel, to temper a body of iron, to build the cathedral of your mission brick by daily brick, and to cultivate the profound and clarifying power of stillness. You have the structure, you have the strategy. But a structure, no matter how perfectly designed, is nothing more than a collection of loose bricks without the mortar that binds them together into an unbreakable whole. A strategy, no matter how brilliant, is useless without the will to execute it in the face of fire. We now arrive at the mortar. We arrive at the will. We arrive at the single, binding, and absolute law that gives all the other pillars their power. This is the code that separates the man who merely attempts transformation from the man who achieves it. This is the unbreakable vow that turns a 90-day experiment into a permanent identity. Welcome to the Great Discourse on Phase 4, the Code of No Negotiation. You will do what you said you would do, period. Let that simple, brutal, and liberating sentence echo in the chambers of your soul. This is the code that will hold the entire structure of your new life together. This is where boys become men, where talk becomes transformation, where a hopeful wish is forged into an iron reality. To understand its power, you must first understand the great sickness that keeps the average man in chains. He is a master negotiator with his own weakness. His life is not a series of commands. It is a series of endless internal debates. Every single morning, a trial is held in the courtroom of his mind. On one side stands his commitment, his higher self, his vision, the man he swore he would become. On the other side stands his comfort, his fatigue, his fear, his desire for distraction, the seductive and treacherous advisor whispering the language of the old self. And the negotiation begins. The voice of comfort is a brilliant and cunning lawyer. It does not scream. It reasons. It whispers, just for today. You've been working so hard. You've earned a break. It says, the conditions aren't perfect. It's better to wait until you're truly ready, until you feel it. It says, one missed day won't matter in the grand scheme of things. And the average man, believing this voice to be his own, accepts the plea bargain. He agrees to a lesser sentence. He chooses comfort. And in that moment of negotiation, he loses the trial. He betrays his commitment. And he teaches his subconscious mind a devastating lesson. My word means nothing. You must understand, success is not a talent problem. It is not an information problem. It is a negotiation problem. The man who fails is the man who is a masterful negotiator with his own potential. For these 90 days, and for the rest of your life, you will silence the inner negotiator. You will fire the treacherous lawyer of your own comfort. From this day forward, the courtroom is closed. The verdict has already been decided. The verdict is execution. The verdict is follow-through. The verdict is your word as absolute, unchallengeable law. Let us now go deeper into the philosophy of this unbreakable vow. The most sacred and important contract a man will ever sign is not with a bank, not with a business partner, and not in a marriage. It is the contract he makes with himself in the quiet, solemn darkness of his own soul. To break your word to another is a dishonor, but to consistently break your word to yourself is a form of spiritual suicide. It is the slow, deliberate erosion of the most valuable asset you will ever possess, self-trust. Confidence is not an emotion you can generate with positive thinking. True, unshakable confidence is a reputation you build with yourself. Every time you keep your promise to yourself, especially when it is hard, especially when no one is watching, you make a deposit into your self-trust account. Every time you rise when the alarm rings, you make a deposit. Every time you complete the workout when your body screams to stop, you make a deposit. Every time you sit for your 90 minutes of deep work when 1,000 distractions call your name, you make a deposit. And every time you negotiate, every time you break your own vow, you make a massive withdrawal. A man with a low balance in his self-trust account cannot act with boldness. He cannot face great risks. He cannot command the respect of others, because at a deep intuitive level he does not respect himself. His promises feel hollow even to his own ears. The code of no negotiation is the protocol for building a fortune of self-trust so vast that you become a titan of confidence. Furthermore, this code creates a new reality by simplifying your life. It eradicates decision fatigue. The average man exhausts a tremendous amount of his precious mental and emotional energy every single day simply deciding whether he will do the things he already knows he should do. You will no longer waste a single ounce of your power on these settled questions. You will no longer wake up and decide if you will train. The decision was made on day one. You simply execute. You will no longer decide if you will do your deep work. The decision was made. You simply begin. By making the decision once, with absolute finality, you free up all of that wasted energy and channel it, like a laser, toward your mission. Now, we must reframe your relationship with the pain that this code will inevitably produce. When you refuse to negotiate, you will feel discomfort. You will feel the resistance of your old self. You will feel the burn of the effort. The average man interprets this discomfort as a signal to stop, but you will interpret it as a signal that the protocol is working. You must embrace this truth. Discomfort is the price of the next version of you. Transformation is a transaction. You are buying a new identity, a new body, a new future. And the currency you must use to pay for it is your willingness to endure temporary, productive discomfort. There are no discounts in the shop of greatness. There is no credit. The payment is daily, and it is paid in the currency of your disciplined effort. And you must recognize that you have a choice of which pain you will endure in life, for pain is guaranteed. You can choose the short-term, clean, and noble pain of discipline. Or you can choose the long-term, corrosive, and soul-crushing pain of regret. The pain of discipline weighs ounces. The pain of regret weighs tons. Every time you honor the code of no negotiation, you are choosing the pain of discipline. Every time you give in to the inner negotiator, you are choosing the pain of regret. So let us be clear on the practical application of this code. It is not about perfection. You are a human being, not a machine. You may stumble. You may have a day where you fall short of your own high standard. No negotiation does not mean you will be perfect. It means you do not negotiate with the standard. It means you practice immediate rectification. If you miss your workout in the morning, the voice of negotiation says, "Oh, well, it's too late now. I'll just start again fresh tomorrow." That is a lie. The code of no negotiation says, "Fine. I have failed my morning schedule. I will therefore complete my workout tonight. After my work is done, no matter how tired I am, I will pay the price for my lapse in discipline immediately." If you get distracted during your deep work block, the negotiation says, "My focus is broken today. It's a wasted session." The code says, "I will reset the timer, remove the distraction, and I will complete my 90 minutes, even if it takes me longer." Do you see the difference? It is not about being flawless. It is about being relentless. It is about course-correcting instantly, without shame, and without abandoning the mission. It is about refusing to let one small failure cascade into a total collapse of the system. This is the forging of the do-it-anyway identity. The man who can do the work regardless of his feelings has achieved a form of true freedom. He has liberated himself from the tyranny of his own moods. He is no longer a slave to inspiration or motivation. He is a master of his own will. And the man who is the master of his own will is the man who will inevitably become the master of his own destiny. So I charge you now. From this day forward, you will silence the inner negotiator. You will treat your own word to yourself as a sacred and unbreakable law. This is the code that binds all the other pillars together. Without this mortar, the magnificent bricks of your mind, your body, and your mission will remain a scattered and powerless pile. With it, they become an unshakable fortress. You have now been given the complete architecture for a new life. You have the 4 pillars of construction, and you have been given the unbreakable mortar that binds them together, the code of no negotiation. You are armed. You are prepared. You have a blueprint for victory. But a warrior, however well-armed and well-trained, is a fool if he walks onto the battlefield without first studying the terrain and anticipating the enemy's strategy. A plan that does not account for resistance is not a plan. It is a prayer. And we are not in the business of praying for an easy journey. We are in the business of forging a man who is strong enough to endure a great one. We must now consult the map of this inner war, for your 90-day campaign will not be a straight, uninterrupted march to victory. The enemy, your old self, with its deep-rooted habits of comfort and doubt, will not surrender without a fight. It will mount a series of strategic counteroffensives designed to break your resolve, to test your commitment, and to pull you back into the familiar prison of your past. These are not random attacks. They are predictable. They are universal. They are the curriculum of your transformation. I call them the 3 walls of transformation. And your ability to anticipate them, to understand them, and to move through them with unwavering discipline will be the sole determinant of your success. Let us now dissect these trials so that when you face them, you will meet them not with surprise and fear, but with the calm recognition of a master strategist. The first wall will come for you fast, and it will come for you hard. It will rise before you around day 7 to day 10 of your protocol. The first week is often fueled by the intoxicating energy of a new beginning. The decision is fresh. The motivation is high. The dopamine of starting something new creates a powerful tailwind. You feel strong. You feel invincible. This is the honeymoon phase. And then it ends. Suddenly, around the end of that first week, you will wake up one morning and the fire will be gone. The work that felt exciting a few days ago will now feel like a chore. Your body will feel sore. Your mind will feel tired. And a voice, a cunning and reasonable-sounding voice from the depths of your own mind, will begin to speak. This is the voice of your past identity. It is the cry of your old self, realizing that this is not a temporary game, but a real and permanent revolution. It is the neurological rebellion of a brain that is being forced to carve new, difficult pathways of discipline instead of coasting along the old, comfortable highways of your past habits. This is the wall of resistance. You must understand the anatomy of this resistance. It is not just laziness. It is a biological and psychological survival mechanism of the old self. This voice will not sound like an enemy. It will sound like the voice of reason. It will say, "You've been working so hard. You've proven you can do it. You've earned a day off." It will say, "This is too extreme. A balanced life is important. You're going to burn out." It will say, "Just this once. You can start again, even stronger, tomorrow." These are the sophisticated lies of a master saboteur. This is your old identity begging for the comfort of the familiar. This is the first great test of your 90-day war, and it is a test of your commitment. How do you break through this wall? You do not break through it with more motivation. You do not reason with it. You do not argue with it. You break through this wall with silent, mechanical, and unemotional obedience to the protocol. When the voice says, "I don't feel like it," you do not engage in a debate. You calmly put on your workout clothes and begin the first repetition. When the voice says, "This is too much," you open your book to the first page of your architect's hour. When the voice says, "Let's just skip the deep work today," you set your 90-minute timer and you begin. You must understand, you are not fighting your feelings. You are simply making them irrelevant. The battle is won not with a shout, but with the quiet, relentless click of the work getting done. Every single time you show up despite the resistance, every time you complete a pillar when your entire being is screaming for an escape, you are chipping away at the foundation of your old self. You are casting a powerful vote for the new you. And your old identity, it feels that. That is why it resists so fiercely. But that is also how you know with absolute certainty that you are on the right path. If you pass through the first wall, and you will enter a new phase. The resistance will soften, the routine will begin to feel normal, and you will enter a long, quiet, and deceptively dangerous stretch of your journey. Around day 30, a new wall will rise before you. This one is not made of the fire of resistance. It is made of the slow, creeping fog of boredom. This is the silent desert of your transformation. The routine is no longer new and exciting. It is just a grind. The initial applause from your own mind has faded. You are in the heart of the work. But the great visible external results have likely not yet appeared. You are planting the seeds, you are watering the soil, you are tending the garden every single day, but you cannot yet see the fruit. And this is where the second great test begins. It is the test of your faith and your patience. The voice of the enemy changes its tactics. It no longer screams for comfort. It now whispers with doubt. It says, "Is this even working? You've been doing this for a month, and what has really changed? Maybe your strategy is wrong. Maybe you should change it up, try something new, something more exciting." Understand this. The enemy at day 30 is not failure. It is distraction. It is the temptation to abandon the proven system that is finally beginning to work under the surface in favor of a new, exciting spark. This is where most people quit, not because of pain, but because of the perceived absence of progress. To break through this wall, you must summon the parable of the Chinese bamboo tree. When the bamboo farmer plants a seed, he waters and tends the soil for the first year, and nothing happens. He does it for the second year, and nothing appears above the ground. The third year, nothing. The fourth year, still nothing. His neighbors, who are planting crops that sprout in weeks, mock him. They tell him he is a fool, wasting his time on barren ground. He is in his own silent desert. But the farmer has faith in the unseen process, and in the fifth year, the bamboo tree explodes from the ground, shooting up to 90 feet in just 6 weeks. The question is, did the tree grow in 6 weeks, or did it grow for 5 years? The answer is obvious. For 4 years, while the world saw nothing, the tree was building a vast, complex, and powerful root system underground, a foundation strong enough to support its magnificent and rapid eventual growth. Your first 30 to 60 days in this protocol are your time of building roots. The world will see nothing. You may see very little, but under the surface, everything is shifting. Your brain is rewiring. Your focus is sharpening. Your emotional resilience is hardening. Your character is deepening. You must have the faith to continue watering the ground when you cannot see the sprout. You must trust the sacred mathematics of compounding effort. The strategy for victory here is to fall in love with the process, not just the prize. You must find satisfaction in the daily act of laying the brick, not just in the dream of the finished cathedral. You must trust the system. You must track your progress, not in your bank account, but in the chain of unbroken check marks on your daily tracker. You are forging a new character. And character is built in the silent desert of boring, consistent, and relentless repetition. If you conquer the desert of boredom, if you keep your faith when all is silent, you will eventually reach the final and most profound wall. This wall appears around day 60 and will test you all the way to day 90. This wall is different. It is not the external feeling resistance of the old self fighting back. It is the internal, often painful and disorienting feeling of the new self being born. This is the wall of rebirth. To understand this, you must use the analogy of a caterpillar in a chrysalis. The transformation from a worm into a butterfly is not a gentle or a pretty process. It is a violent, agonizing dissolution. The old form of the caterpillar must be completely broken down, its very structure dissolved into a kind of genetic soup, before the new form of the butterfly can emerge. This is what happens to you in the final third of this protocol. The old you is not just being suppressed, it is dying. And the new you is not just an idea, it is being born. And this process can feel confusing, isolating, and even painful. You will start to feel fundamentally different, and it can be disorienting. The things that used to entertain you will now feel boring. The conversations that used to engage you will now feel trivial. The people you used to relate to may start to look at you as a stranger. You are, in a very real sense, becoming a stranger to your own past. This can be a lonely place. This wall is the test of your endurance. It is the final ascent of the mountain, where the air is thin, where every step is a monumental effort, and where the summit is so close, yet still so far. The temptation here is not to go back to the beginning, but to stop just short of the finish line, to settle for good enough because the final push to great feels too hard. But this is where you must remember your vow. This is where you must draw on the reserves of self-trust you have been building for the past 60 days. This is where you must lean into the agony, knowing that it is not the pain of death, but the pain of birth. And then, one day, it happens. It is rarely a loud, explosive moment. It is usually a quiet, profound, and sudden realization. You will wake up around day 70 or day 80, and you will just know the struggle is gone. The habits no longer feel like an effort. They simply feel like you. The voice of the old self has gone completely silent, replaced by a deep and abiding sense of calm certainty. You are no longer performing discipline, you are the embodiment of it. This is the breakthrough. This is the moment you emerge from the chrysalis. You are not the same person anymore. Not in hype, not in your imagination, but in the very fiber of your being. You have now passed all 3 tests. Resistance tested your commitment, boredom tested your faith, and rebirth tested your endurance. You have been tried, you have been tested, and you have been forged. So when you feel the resistance, lean in and know you are breaking old chains. When the boredom hits, stay locked in and know you are building deep roots. And when the rebirth begins, honor the discomfort, for it is the sign that the man you were always meant to be is finally gloriously emerging. Because what is waiting for you on the other side of these 90 days is the version of you they said did not exist. And now we must speak of his emergence. You have walked through the fire of resistance, and you have not been burned. You have crossed the silent desert of boredom, and you have not lost your faith. You have endured the agony of rebirth, and you have emerged, not broken, but forged. The campaign is over. The 90-day war for the sovereignty of your own soul has been won. Now, we must speak of the man who stands victorious on the morning of day 91. We must perform an anatomy of his emergence. The world will tell you that transformation is a slow, gradual, and gentle process. This is a lie told by those who have never truly transformed. True transformation is a violent and beautiful act. It is a death and a rebirth. And the man who emerges from the chrysalis of this protocol is not an improved version of his old self. He is a new creature entirely. He is, to the world and to the man he used to be, unrecognizable. Let us first speak of the unseen transformation, for the most profound changes are invisible to the naked eye. The true victory of these 90 days is not the muscle you have built or the progress you have made on your mission, though those are real. The true victory is the new neurological and spiritual architecture you have constructed within yourself. You have, through relentless repetition, carved new highways of thought in your brain. The old, muddy, winding paths of doubt, of hesitation, and of fear have begun to be reclaimed by the wilderness. In their place now stand wide, paved, and brilliantly lit superhighways of discipline, of focus, and of unshakable self-trust. Your default setting has been permanently altered. But what will the world see? What are the tangible attributes of this man who now emerges? First, there is a new silence about him. The man who has mastered his inner world has less and less need to speak of it. The old you, the man of insecurity, felt the need to talk about his plans, to seek validation, to explain his ambitions. He used words to convince himself and others. The new man does not. His silence is not empty. It is full. It is full of a quiet, powerful presence. He no longer broadcasts his intentions. He simply executes them. He has learned that results speak with a thunder that words can only whisper. Second, he possesses a new vision. His eyes are different. He no longer sees the world as a series of threats and obstacles. He sees it as a field of opportunity and raw material. Having spent 90 days deliberately forging his mind, he has cultivated the mind of the architect. He sees the hidden patterns, the unseen connections, the potential that lies dormant and invisible to the average man. His vision is no longer clouded by the fog of other people's opinions or the dust of his own past failures. It is sharp, it is clear, and it is focused. Third, he speaks with a new voice. When he does choose to speak, his voice carries a new and undeniable resonance. The old, tentative tone of a man asking for permission has been replaced by the calm, firm tone of a man giving a command. His words are heavier, for they are no longer filled with the hot air of hope, but with the solid weight of his forged will. He speaks with precision because he thinks with clarity. And finally, he has a new relationship with time. The average man is a slave to the clock. He spends his time, he wastes his time, he kills his time, he is always running out of it. But the man who has emerged from this protocol understands that time is his greatest asset. He does not spend it, he invests it. Every hour of his day is a deliberate investment in the direction of his definite purpose. He is the master of his days, not a victim of his schedule. This is the man you have become. And because this inner transformation is so profound, you must now understand the new physics of your reality. The world will begin to respond to you differently, not because the world has changed, but because you have. This is the law of resonance in its highest form. Having spent 90 days in a state of deliberate construction, your entire energetic signature, your spiritual vibration, has been elevated. You have moved from the chaotic, low-frequency signal of the drifter, a signal of wanting, of needing, of hoping, to the coherent, powerful, high-frequency signal of the architect. And by an infallible law, the universe must now begin to bring into your experience people, opportunities, and circumstances that are a perfect match for this new, powerful frequency. Your forged identity now radiates an aura of unshakable certainty. And you must understand, in a world drowning in doubt, certainty is a form of gravity. People are not ultimately drawn to your ideas, your plans, or your products. They are drawn to your conviction. Your certainty that your vision is inevitable becomes a magnetic force that pulls resources, that inspires loyalty, and that commands respect. The stillness you have cultivated has opened a direct channel to your intuition. Your decisions will now be guided not just by cold, hard logic, but by a deeper knowing, a sixth sense that will allow you to navigate the complexities of life with a precision and a grace that will seem almost supernatural to the man who operates only from the surface level of his mind. But now we must address the most important question of all. What is the purpose of this transformation? Why go through this 90-day war? Why forge yourself into this new and powerful being? And here is the truth you must carry with you for the rest of your days. The 90-day protocol was not the war itself. It was the forging of the sword. For 90 days, you have been in the armory, in the heat, in the fire, hammering the raw metal of your potential into a magnificent and deadly weapon. You have sharpened its edge with the whetstone of your mind. You have tempered its steel in the waters of your discipline. You have balanced its weight with the cultivation of stillness. Now, on the morning of day 91, the forging is complete, and you will walk out of the armory, sword in hand, and onto the true battlefield, the battlefield of your life's great mission. This is not the end. This is the beginning. The purpose of becoming this new, stronger man is so that you may be worthy of taking on bigger challenges, of building a greater mission, of enduring greater trials, and of serving the world at a higher level. Your old enemy was the average self. Your new enemy is stagnation. It is the temptation to rest on your laurels, to look at the man you have become and to say, "It is enough." But the law of life is simple. Whatsoever is not growing is dying. This protocol is not a one-time fix. It is the permanent installation of a new operating system for continuous, relentless, and lifelong growth. And so, we come to the final commissioning. These are your marching orders, not for the next 90 days, but for the rest of your life. First, you will not explain your transformation. When you re-emerge, people will notice a change. They will ask what you have been doing. You will not justify your new standards. You will not preach your new philosophy. You will not try to convince the cynics. You will let your results and your presence be your only explanation. Let your silence echo louder than their noise. Second, you will now become the standard. You are no longer just a student following a protocol. You have become the living embodiment of it. Your life itself is now the lesson. Your daily actions are the sermon. You will inspire others not by what you say, but by who you have become. Third, you will continue the fight. The war on mediocrity is over. The great and glorious war for your legacy has just begun. You will continue to rise early. You will continue your architect's hour. You will continue to temper your body. You will continue to build your mission. You will continue to cultivate stillness, and you will continue to live by the code of no negotiation. This is no longer a 90-day sprint. This is now who you are. And so, I leave you with this final, sacred vow, a vow to be made now, in the quiet of your own soul, a vow to honor the man you have worked so hard to forge, a vow to never again return to the comfortable, easy, and deadening land of the average, and a vow to wield the sword you have forged in the noble and courageous service of your highest and most definite purpose. The world does not need more commentators. It does not need more critics. It does not need more men who are content to live in the shallow end of their own potential. The world needs architects. It needs builders. It needs men who have declared war on their own weakness and have emerged victorious, ready to build a better world. You have done the work. You have faced the fire. You have broken through the walls. You have become that man. Now, go and build. The protocol has been revealed. The 90-day war has been declared. The man you will become is waiting for you on the other side of your own relentless discipline. Your great work has just begun. To continue receiving these battle plans for a life of mastery and to remain in the company of those who are on this same path, subscribe to this channel and activate your notifications. This is your command center for the lifelong war on mediocrity. And now, as your first act of the warrior you have become, go to the comments section and declare your commitment. Simply write, Day 1. Let it be your public testament. Let it be the first shot fired in your revolution. Now, go and build.